Over the last 25 years, I've had the privilege of interviewing and highlighting some truly interesting people. Everyone who is anyone, both the famous and the infamous, from presidents and their first ladies to kings and queens, movie stars and pop stars, captains of industry, heads of state, sports personalities, innovative entrepreneurs, and some pretty fascinating everyday people. Today, I am very happy to introduce you to Elizabeth Martin. And Elizabeth is a real estate professional who attributes her success to hard work, dedication, and serving her clients' needs, whether they're buying or selling. That's what all clients want to hear. Whatever side of the equation I'm on, you're on my side. So, Elizabeth, what led you to become a realtor?
Well, I never really thought I was going to become a real estate agent. But when I look back at how my life has evolved, it was just a natural transition. And actually, it has become such a passion of mine because, serving people and making sure that they're served the right way in this industry is really a very rewarding experience for me. And it stems back really from my childhood. I'm first generation Italian. My parents are off the boat from Italy, and within 2 years of being in this country, they actually purchased their own first two-family home in Clifton, New Jersey. And I was born and raised there, so I already grew up with knowing being in the background of being a landlord, and also my father started purchasing other properties. He was in the construction business. So it was already ingrained in me from very young about save money. How my father would say is save money and buy a house. So when it was time, when I got married and bought a house. But fast forward to 2006, my dad decided to come here to Atlanta, Georgia, where I was, and we bought an apartment complex, 42-unit apartment complex. So I started managing this apartment complex, which was an experience in and of itself. Went through two tornadoes and a massive fire, lost a whole building. So needless to say, we learned a lot. And in that interim, we were in the recession. So have a double whammy there. And, at the time, I was starting to look at investment opportunities, and property in Florida Panhandle came up because that's why I liked to vacation there, and thought about doing a vacation rental. My husband thought I was a little nuts, trying to do a vacation rental in the middle of a recession. But I knew that the market was low. The market had plunged and the prices were great. So we took the opportunity. We took that risk. We had some money saved, and we started. We bought that property. Took my brother, who was a contractor, and went down there and remodeled it and furnished it and started, doing vacation rentals from the very start. So my husband started getting comfortable with that. So that success was going on there. So when we came back to Georgia, we started looking for Georgia properties. And pretty much that's how our flipping business started. We just started buying one home at a time and flipping them, and buying some rental properties and other vacation rental properties. And in that process, all these people just started asking me all kinds of questions and how I can help them, and giving them advice, because I knew a lot, even on the construction side, from flipping homes. So I knew the market in the North Metro Atlanta area, and a lot of people just said, "Why don't you get your license?" And so finally, I did, and I've been an agent ever since, and I love it.
I'm listening to you talk about your passion. So let's just have this conversation. What do you think makes you effective at your job?
Well, everyone knows a realtor, and everyone wants to deal with a realtor that they know, like, and trust. But to be an effective realtor, I feel like you have to stand out. And,
Hmm.
and standing out in the terms of going above and beyond for your client. And I think when you are focused on your client's needs and listening to their needs, um, listening to their goals and what they're looking for, that is when you are doing the service for them and not what's in it for you.
Hmm.
And there's other factors such as social media marketing, being responsive to your clients, communication, being knowledgeable about the market. I mean, that is really big. You need to know what the competition is like. And you also need to understand too the how to do a contract to protect your client. There are agents there that they just don't know all the ins and outs of as far as a contract. And that's why it's really, really a big deal as far as making sure that when you hire an agent, that they are very knowledgeable and know how to protect your interest, whether you're buying or selling.
And just paying attention to what's going on in the market, I know the viewers would want to know what kind of inside information you can actually give us about the volatility that we're seeing in the residential real estate market right now.
Yes, I get that a lot lately. Everyone thinks that the bottom is going to fall out, and which they call, the correct terminology is the black swan, which is an inevitable collapse or plunge in the U.S. prices, home prices. And I don't. There was a reason. The reason for that happening in 2008 was because of bad mortgages and balloon mortgages, along with and coupled with people losing their jobs. And that just created a perfect storm in the sense that it just was a crash that really was a big lesson learned by the banks. But now we have learned from that, and now it's a different story, because already before the pandemic, we were already on a lower supply, a lower inventory than normal because our interest rate was so low that people were refinancing. Well, when they're refinancing, they're not going to resell their homes right away. So you already had a decline already, and then the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, stopped labor and material shortage, which then, of course, affected new construction and the rate of new construction. And so now you have all these buyers looking for homes, and there's not enough homes to buy, which has now, of course, affected, and why we have had such a huge increase, an astronomical increase in the price of homes in the last couple years. So I don't foresee, and other agents that I talk to, we don't foresee a crash that like happened in 2008. We do see a leveling off because the feds have raised these interest rates, right, in order to correct what's going on. And so raising the interest rates now has taken some buyers out of the pool, right? Because they can no longer qualify to buy that home anymore. And so that's lowering the rate of buyers. And hopefully that will start to correct the buyer, supply and buyer supply demand, and correct itself. So I think we're still going to see for the next year a very stable real estate market. And and of course, unless something unforeseen happens with the war, we just don't know what is going to happen. If only we had a crystal ball, right?
That's what everybody always says in every industry with a little bit of up and down. But the best experts always say steady hand wins out truly in the end. No matter what of the industry, don't run with the volatility. of the industry. And it sounds like that's what you're saying. I'm paying attention to what you are talking about because you're quite an acclaimed expert within your industry. You've earned a number of accolades and awards. What would you say is the one that you're most proud of?
I have been very blessed and honored and grateful for all the clients. I have so far I've had a successful business in this industry, and I've gotten quite a few awards. But I think the one that I feel is the most that I'm most proud of is the Rookie of the Year. It's only given to one person, this was by the Cherokee Association of Realtors, and it not only was because of the transactions that I did, which I believe it was 24 transactions. I sold 24 homes in my first year
Bravo,
being a realtor. I was a busy, I was a busy bee. But, also too, what your community service, what have you done in community service? What have you done in volunteer work? And all that also was part of the award as well.
That sounds wonderful. As I was going to actually ask you, because I know community service means quite a bit to you, and I know you've done some work in the deaf community. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
So my brother, who's my brother Virgilio, who's a contractor and lives nearby me here in Woodstock, and his wife Pam is also deaf. They are very big. Obviously, they're in their deaf network, and I occasionally try to go to some of their social events. And they actually had referred me to a client of theirs who's also deaf, and I know ASL, American Sign Language, and so they had referred me to this woman Patsy who lived in Conyers, which is not an area that I deal with. It's over 2 hours away from Woodstock, and but I wanted to help her because she was getting frustrated with her realtor. Obviously there was a communication issue, and she just was getting frustrated after 8 months, wasn't getting anywhere. And so I drove all the way down there, met with her, and tried to find out exactly, what she was looking for. And, within a month, we found her a home, and she loves it. And I was able to help her out, and she couldn't be more happier. So, it's great to be able to know different languages. I also speak French and Italian, so I do. Not that there's many French or Italian people here in Georgia, but it's hard when you have a language barrier for some of these people, and it's great that you can help them when you know that language.
And Elizabeth, I always say it's good to meet people where they are. So if this is a language that they are most comfortable in, having an expert or a professional that cares enough to communicate with them in their language, I think is a big, big plus. And you mentioned your brother and your sister-in-law, which of course makes me ask, what role did your family play in your success?
Well, a lot. When I was actually, before I became a realtor and I was flipping homes, my brother, who is a contractor, actually was my right hand person. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to, we worked together. And then when I became a realtor, my family, all my family, I have two grown girls, 24 and 22 now, and my husband. They all are very, very supportive of my business. And my husband's always been supportive of anything that I've done. I've worn many hats. I was a foreign language teacher at one point in my life, and stay-at-home mom, and then doing the other the flipping business. And he's been a very active, always had an active role and an active involvement in that. He helps me stage homes, bringing furniture, putting out my signs, And my brother too, a lot of times for my clients, they might need some repairs that might need to be made before they sell their house, or, a deck needs to be repaired, and I can call him, and a lot of times he can get that job done for me. So it's almost like it takes a village, right?
It always takes a village. None of us do it on our own. And it's always nice to have family and very close friends that have your back in those situations. Before we go, Elizabeth, I would love to just ask, what's the one thing, because we've talked about so much, that you'd like the viewer of this video feature to walk away with today?
So I would like people to understand the value of a real estate agent, of a realtor, because a lot of people, especially with the internet, that they believe they can sell, houses on their own, and I think a lot of them they leave money on the table, and things go wrong. And I hear stories, all kinds of horror stories that happen with these iBuyers and whatnot. And I'm not going to name names, but, where they, sell to a private investor or an iBuyer. And there's a lot of hidden fees that they don't tell you until all of a sudden you already signed the contract, and you are, now you're stuck, and you're emotionally, already moving or whatever, and you realize that you left a lot of money on the table. And the thing is that there's no one protecting you. And when you hire a realtor, that realtor is working on your behalf for your best interest, and making sure that everything is, if there is a problem, that you're not going to be losing the earnest money, or that if there's no financing issue, or if there's an appraisal issue. There's all kinds of moving parts in a transaction, and a lot of people don't realize how many things can go wrong. And when you have a realtor by your side, fighting for you, negotiating for you, during the inspection process, whether you're on the buy side or the sell side, I feel like protect yourself. This is one of the biggest investments in many people's lives. And why not? Why are you doing a contract without someone representing you legally? And so, that's what I hope that someone can come out of this, is just knowing that, a realtor has a value, and they're well worth their salt.
Thank you so very much. I think a lot of people are anxious about an industry that they don't know about, and it can be intimidating. And I know that this conversation has really educated people, made them aware of just what's out there, and how they can take advantage of a really good professional, or make use of it, I should say, in the real estate market. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. It was a pleasure to have a conversation with you.
Well, thank you very much, Star. It was a pleasure as well.